But when you consider that everything is sacred, then you can see the profane anywhere. I mean, if we're gonna celebrate a paradigm where we really want to jump on the peace train and ride the peace train, then you have to acknowledge that the sacred is everything. And so what does that turn this thing that we might call the profane into? Just another expression. I'm big time about integration, gang, and what it means to integrate. I think one of the gifts, I'm going to share some words from Ernest Holmes to get things going here. The spiritual genius of Ernest Holmes is that he had a capacity to deliver the light to us. He dove deep into, many would call him a spiritual genius. He dove deep into his own consciousness, deep into the well of his own soul, and emerged with a message of good, of light. Plotinus, the philosopher from long ago, talked about that the journey that we're all on is essentially from seeing that we're somehow a diverse body traveling toward the one, or what is called the good, that is our journey that we are on. And to jump on the peace train together. And I really appreciate the synchronicity of things when they come up. You know, I because Peggy demands it, prepare a talk title on a Tuesday. And then it always ends up being what it's going to be. So I want to come up with a talk title that's big enough to drive a truck through. You know what I'm saying? And then drive the truck. So I want to start here with something Ernest Holmes says, which I think is actually fitting to the topic. And if it doesn't seem that way, we're going to make it fit. It is, thanks, Michael. It is because it is there that you have, it is because that you have irresistible urges, the longing to live more fully, the feeling that life belongs to you. There is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole. Why then, if these things are true, is the world still impoverished, mentally and physically ill, and apparently unable to become unified? This is the great question. Why and why and why and why? Unless this question is adequately answered and its meaning increasingly applied to human conduct, there is danger that the world may destroy its vast system of misconceptions and be compelled to begin over again. Which absolutely I think is what's happening anyway. We're in the midst of that. It seems as though a persistent purpose were being carried out, that anything which does not comply with this purpose must become submerged in the backwash of evolution. Stick with it, we're going to unpack it. Submerged in the backwash of evolution, that which is more nearly right may come forward. The world has reached a dramatic climax in its history, in its herstory. It has unlocked so much of the physical resources of the universe that unless this is back in the long time ago, right? 30s, 40s, pretty deep. Before the atomic bomb, the world has unlocked so much of the physical resources of the universe that unless this enormous power is used constructively, it can very well destroy it. The world stands on the brink of a great abyss, a terrific regression, or, if it choose, faces the horizon of a glorious day, a new age. Which one sounds better to us? A terrible regression or the dawn of a glorious new day? That one sounds better to me, right? But we got to talk about it realistically, gang. We got to talk about the journey of emerging from the fogginess of ignorance and the grogginess of slumber to the serenity of understanding and the conviction of a new purpose. It's all right. You can take it. Put it on speaker, though. Put it on. No, okay. That's okay. The journey of emerging from the grogginess, the fogginess of ignorance, and the grogginess of slumber to the serenity of understanding and the conviction of purpose. Those are my words. That's my attempt to be like Ernest Holmes. So how do we do it, though? It's got to be real life. It's not just pretend or make believe. As I heard recently, God doesn't care whether you believe in it or not. It does not require your belief. The spirit, the vast system, the spiritual system, doesn't care if you believe in it or not. It's going to be its thing. It does not require your endorsement. It does not require my endorsement. It's simply there. The miracle happened long ago when I am happened. That's when the miracle happened. When I am happened is when the miracle happened. When creation came into being by some miracle and mind-boggling whatever. We're seeking to find out, you know, the research looking into the God particle. You heard about this, right? What happened in the beginning, the moment. So that's science's endeavor. And we have our own endeavor in consciousness to explore our connection and our expression of the miracle, but to talk realistically about it. And what it takes is a difficult walk. I think sometimes we want everything to be easy, and everything appears to be getting easier and easier. I'm hungry, boop, 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 boop. 20 minutes later, what? I got a big plate of food on my lap, and I'm sitting in front of it. It's easy. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything except pick up the phone. Everything's pretty easy now. Information right at the end of fingertips, right? And so I think sometimes we translate it to the journey of getting free, to the journey of an emerging new paradigm, of an emerging consciousness, and the work that each one of us is required of each one of us to truly participate in the dawning of a new era and what that takes. That each one of us have a charge within us to participate with the miracle. Deborah, in her opening, talked about the teachings. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she talked about the science of mind. Right? That's like inside talk. If I'm going down the street and someone talks about the science of mind, I'm either thinking Scientology or cult. Like, what? Science of mind? What is this science of mind? Unless you know with Ernest Holmes, or you spent your lifetime studying it or participated in one of these centers from time to time. Science of mind, what is that? Science, research, going into the laboratory of our own hearts, of what? The mind, of our consciousness. That each one of us do that. And the blessing that we have, gang, is to do it in community. Not just to show up and hear wonderful blessings from Ernest Holmes and his great gift to the world, which is the light. You open any page on this book and it talks about the light, the good. Go for it, who you really are, what's really possible in your life. And we can do that, but oftentimes, even in communities like this where we have the support of each other, we come and we get inspired, but we don't have a place to talk about integration. To talk about the darkness, to talk about integration. I'm having an image right now of what it was like. Barry, my partner, and I, who's sitting in the back, we were driving through Little Rock, Arkansas, and we stopped at the school, Central High School, the first integrated high school in the country. You guys know that story with the Little Rock 9? Is that what it was? Those 9 students, the black students that went into the white school, the all-white school. That's terrifying. Progress, terrifying. And you know what they did? I did a little bit more research on this, is that they spent time vetting for those 9 individuals. It wasn't just some random 9 people. It was a random 9 people, black people, that they thought could handle the absolute hate that was about to come their way, so that it could somehow work, so that they wouldn't get plugged in and react. They knew this thing was going to be on TV. They knew it was going to be on also in the media. It was going to be everywhere. This monumental moment in history People that were ready for the fight. They prepped the 9. They didn't prep the other however many white kids were in the school. The question then becomes, are we ready to integrate? Because to live into an emerging new paradigm, what is there going to be? Resistance. There's going to be resistance. Not from me or from the person you're sitting next to or from Gene right here. How could there be resistance from a guy who wears a vest like that anyway? Absolute mastery. From within my own consciousness. Because what do I experience in the old paradigm where I'm in pain, where I know I need to integrate, where I know I'm being called to express more and to give more love and to be more creative or be more loving, wherever it is, on the job, in my partnership, in life in general. All of these places where I know deep within me I'm being called to be more of myself, more self-expressed. The current paradigm is going to hold on because why? And it's not like it's a life in and of itself. It's not like it's this thing over here that's organized against me. I am this thing. Do you catch that? Are you with me? I am this thing. I am this paradigm. So I have to grow this paradigm and welcome it slowly with discipline and diligence over here, because what's over here is comfort. What's over here is peace. What's over here is familiarity. You with me? Deep breath. Right? Everything's good here. We're growing ourselves. We're integrating. We're moving into each one of us having a greater freedom. And that means we have to grow ourselves up constantly over and over again into new paradigm, into this glorious new age. The invitation that Ernest Holmes is asking us into. A terrific regression. Now, let's not think about it from the worldly standpoint. We have a tendency to start talking about the world, right? The wars that are over there. Whatever's happening over there. But we don't address the war that's happening inside of ourselves. The schizophrenia of consciousness. Everything is okay. No, it's not. Everything's all right. No, it's not. Back and forth all day long. That's what happens inside of us when we slow down and pay attention to it. The schizophrenia of our own consciousness. Everything's great. No, it's not. My partnership's great. No, it's not. You know, the church is great. No, it's not. All the stuff that's happening. The world is fine. No, it's not. Everything's going to be okay. No, it's all going to hell. It happens all the time within us. So we have to welcome ourselves. We have to get in relationship with ourselves. We're really used to talking about we want a new horizon in Israel, and can't they all just get along? Meanwhile, in our own home, we're fighting with our own partners. We can't get along with the neighbor. We can't get along with city council or how the vote turned out this week. We have a war within ourselves. It's easy to say over there, isn't it? Because then we give responsibility away, and it's happening over there. I am not a subscriber of the idea of world peace. I might have shared this with you before. I think world peace is an illusion that has us all hypnotized somehow that the work is over there. Let's work for world peace. But guess what? There's never going to be world peace unless what? I'm at peace with myself. All 7,999,000,000, blah, 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 could be at peace. And there's no world peace because what? I'm bringing war to the game. Because I'm not at peace. How could you all be at peace? There's still, whatever. I'm like, rah, rah. No peace. So the work, gang, is in community like this to help each other wake up. To really help each other wake up, to be inspired on a Sunday morning, but then also find other opportunities to do the work of integration, to get with a trusted friend and say, wow, I really want to apply the words of Deborah, the words of Ernest Holmes. I really want to apply the words of Marianne Williamson, the words of the prayer. But man, I'm stuck up a tree. I don't know what to do. This is the work of tearing down the walls. Not just pretending that, yeah, it's all good, and because Ernest Holmes said that the light should shine upon me forevermore and that my good is at hand, and we don't know the first thing about how to actually integrate that. But it sure does sound good, doesn't it? And it sure does feel good. And so we're called to integrate it. And to little by little, tear down the walls and welcome in a new way of being where there's even a little bit more joy. I think most of you know, and I'm fine with sharing this because it's part of my walk, and I'm working on being authentic, and there's still parts of me that really want to hide, you know? Like, I went through the first part of my ministerial life just like my ego was all over it. You know, like I started my own church, and I forced it, you know. Just, have you ever forced life? You know, like you're just like forcing it, you know, like there's not really much time of prayer and just contemplation and surrender and allowing, you know, where those things where peace lie, like acceptance where peace lies. And it got me to where I actually ended up being, which is a full-on alcoholic. And so about 26, 27 months ago, I found myself in a treatment center in Southern California. Now, I walked into this treatment center. I did walk in. I was drove there. And I sat in the nurse's intake. I knew something had to happen. I was going to either I was going to kill myself, for real. I was going to kill myself, or I was going to get free. So this is one of my big tearing down the wall story. And I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, I could do this. Hurting somebody else is breaking a law of the universe. Hurting myself, I can do that. So I was with it and really went down the rabbit hole with it. And I'm like, no, I've got this beauty back here. You know, I've got some things that I really want to, I want to get free. So I sat in the nurse's intake office, right? Sobbing at the realization of where I was. Sitting in this nurse's intake office in Upland, California, about to be submitted. And I had done things, gang. I've taken groups of people to Cambodia. I've taken, I've gone to Philippines on service trips, like I've done cool stuff. I've run an international youth and family programs, like I've done a bunch of stuff. Like I was accomplished. And there I was that morning, 7 a.m. in Upland, California, sitting in that nurse's intake office going, this is what my life has come to, by forcing it. By selfish Charles Hall living. The war within. So I spent 69 days there, and it was hard. Hard to be with myself, but hard to face everything. All of it. It was hard. And then came time to get out 69 days later, and I was terrified. Because what? There's the world. There's me, this new guy, this puppy. I didn't even really know who I was on some level, right? It's terrifying. And not only that, but there's a liquor store on every corner. I can't tell you, I didn't know how much liquor there was in the world until I could stop drinking. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I didn't even know there was that much. And it's everywhere. And there it is, right? The old paradigm. Charles, your old buddy, right? But I had to change life literally, and that type of transformation, you change everything. I went away from my family for a bit of time. It's deep, right? So that's my personal testimony about, and here I am. And I have these moments of spontaneous joy now that I never knew before. It was always attached to something before. Like, oh, because of this. And now it's like, I'm alive. The miracle, the dawning of a new horizon. New moments of being in joy with you right here and knowing that this is purposeful. That something is happening for each one of us that is continuing to plot us on that course of a new purpose, of a new paradigm, of new growth. And that there'll be moments of joy about it. And so when as we're on this path of moving from this paradigm, and each of us individually examining the ways that how we are and how we want to grow, also understand over here that there's this pot of things that are beautiful and amazing, right? That's already happening. There's all this stuff in our current paradigm that's awesome. We just want to fan that flame and let it be. But to integrate and change and the dawning of a new horizon, the awakening of a new consciousness within us needs to be grown, it needs to be nurtured, it needs to be welcomed over here. And so we have to make bold changes in order to welcome that. And we get to do that together. And the pain that any one of us is feeling, I promise you, is simply a doorway to walk through to welcome us into that new horizon, that new place of living, so we can start to live out promises such as this from Ernest Holmes. My mind is open to new ideas. The Spirit is ever active in me. The divine mind is inexhaustible. There is no weary or monotonous action in spirit. Hear that? There's no weary or monotonous action in spirit. There is no weary or monotonous action in spirit. It is forever new and vibrant, fresh with ideas. I know that I am continuously receiving new impressions from life, new, better, and fuller ways of living. Does that sound good? I let the newness, freshness, and originality of spirit permeate my entire consciousness. Or these words from Ernest Holmes. Same book, different place. Get this book, this thing called You. I know you know I talk about it. Today I enter into the limitless variations of self-expression, which the divine spirit projects into my experience. We make it welcome. It projects it in, and we say yes to it. Knowing that all experience is a play of life upon itself, the blossoming of love into self-expression, the coming forth of good into the joy of its own being, I enter into the game of living with joyful anticipation and with enthusiasm. It sounds cool, right? Right? No? I declare the freedom of my divine sonship, my divine daughtership. I possess the kingdom of God in all its fullness. I look long, sincerely, and simply upon every object and every person. I wait at the doorway of my expectation until my acceptance grants me the privilege of beholding His face forevermore, God's face forevermore, your face when you stand in front of the mirror forevermore and look at that face and say, I love that person. When you look at that face and say, like you look into your own eyes in the mirror, into your own eyes, and you say, I love you, and you mean it. And it's true and real and there. That's deeply intimate, gang. Most of us have that schizophrenic split. I mean, I went and I looked in the mirror for a long time and looked and went, who the F are you? I didn't even know who I was. But the process of integration, of movement, of the journey of emerging from the fogginess of ignorance about ourselves and the grogginess of slumber to being awake to the great miracle that is life, to the serenity and of understanding and the connection of purpose. And I'm here to tell you that each one of us, your life is purposeful. Sprouting even now, no matter what the age, 10 years old, 48 years old, 48 and 10 11ths, 11 12ths. Lifting into the orbit of transformation, pushing through the gravitational pull of your current atmosphere. What do you think? Lifting into the orbit, right? When it gets through, there's an orbit of being held out of the gravitational pull of our current atmosphere through our work and through our community, through community with each other, through all the places that we can show up and love each other and be loved. Right on? It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's challenging and difficult, but it's worthy of all of us because we're traveling once again. We're traveling back to the one in this science of the mind, the grand laboratory of experimenting within our own lives to emerge back in the one. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be with you this morning. Peace and love.